If you've ever wondered when it is time to move past single file scripts, then maybe this story will give you a hint. And this video is not my typical Linux video or a Julia how-to tutorial. It's more of a story, maybe even a bit of a rant. If you're in computational physics, a researcher, or maybe even a beginner developer just starting to take code seriously, you'll probably see yourself in it. I've been coding for the past 4 years, roughly, and throughout all this time, it felt completely normal to work in single-file scripts. Those are easy. You chain the functions you need together, one after another in that file, and maybe you put out a few print statements here and there, or use Jupyter Notebook for setting things up and debugging. But all in all, it's the simplest setup probably. And once you have your working file or your working program, you hit run and everything is done. But one day, not long ago, I realized that my old approach was not sustainable anymore. Even though everything still worked, something felt off. And just thinking about the future, where my project will be going, I realized that my code wouldn't be scaling anymore. Not in complexity, not in time trying to maintain it, and not in my sanity. Now, quick disclaimer before we go any further. I'm not a developer. I'm a computational physics PhD student. I just started my second year, and up till this point, I've been coding like a scientist, or like many scientists, I would say. You know, the type where each new project basically starts with the copy of the old one, because a lot of the things are still the same. And as long as my code gave me the correct results, I did not care how messy it looked. And the furthest I've gone towards the real software practices was when I started writing GPU programs, and that's when I first started paying attention to optimization. And by the end of my master's project, I thought that my code was pretty good. And at some point, I also learned how to use Julia project environments, because I use Julia for programming all of my simulations. I learned how to use dedicated Julia programming environment to keep dependencies tidy, and honestly, that already felt like a big thing. But in the beginning of my second year, so it was September this year, when I started thinking about writing my code for my next project, I paused and really asked myself whether I wanted to keep coding the same way as I did before. And this is when I caught myself thinking that maybe, just maybe, my code eventually needs to become a package. Something with more structure, something a bit more manageable, and easier to maintain in the long run. And my biggest concern was that this new code base will essentially become my lab for the next 3 years of my PhD program. And so one day after one of our weekly meetings with my supervisors, so the result of that discussion was that I had to modify my old code to try running a new numerical experiment. And in theory, it should have been simple. I just had to modify the initial geometry of the simulated system. But when I opened the code, I realized that it wasn't that simple. My GPU kernels that were the heart of my Monte Carlo simulation were pretty much hard-coded for that particular geometry, and I needed to extensively rework them for that to work for the new system we were trying to simulate. And if you've ever debugged a GPU kernel, you know, it's sometimes not that easy, and it's not exactly a weekend project a lot of times, because hunting for errors there is more difficult than in regular functions, for sure. And this is exactly where it hit me that this approach would not scale anymore. My GPU kernels needed to become more general, flexible enough to work for different geometries and even different Monte Carlo algorithms. And honestly, I started thinking if that was even possible. Is this a feasible thing to do? So at first, I didn't have a clear plan, but I knew that something needs to change. And when I looked closer at my code, the problems were everywhere. You know, sometimes when you step back, don't touch it for a few months. And that's what I did. I didn't really touch my code over the summer at all. And then when I came back to it, I saw a lot of issues with it that somehow I overlooked before. So one of the things was it started with the code sprawl. Every project was just slightly different version of the original one. It just had different names, but the main logic was still the same. Maybe the parameters will change here and there, and that's about it. So I was duplicating entire blocks of code over and over again, and I realized that at this point I've become my own worst dependency. And I was also terrified to touch anything that worked already, because changing one little thing here and there could break everything. And I also thought that it would be great to have a much more consistent way of passing parameters to my code instead of, sorry, that's my dog snoring. And I thought it will be much more convenient to have a cleaner way to deal with parameters to be simulated, so that I don't have to worry about chasing through my code files and finding all the places where that parameter might have an effect. And, just basically having a single source of truth. I also thought that having a code base that will be easy to share with the others, with collaborators, with my supervisors, with my colleagues, and eventually also publishing it for the public use, if that's ever going to happen. The way I write the code right now isn't really shareable exactly, so that needs to change too. And finally, well, the biggest one was there was no structure for growth. So the whole thing needed a complete overhaul of the architecture. And that's when I decided to create a Julia package that has structure, intent, scalability, modularity, and eventually easier maintenance. And it's not that I just wanted to learn package development because it sounded cool. It's because I came to that point because I just outgrew my old ways. It's because I hit the problems that led me towards the tools that developers use every day. And suddenly these tools made perfect sense. It's like trying to tighten the bolts with your fingers for weeks until you realize that the wrench exists. So that's pretty much a good summary of what it feels like right now, or what it felt like. So I started thinking seriously about turning my code into a package at the beginning of September, and it sounded quite ambitious even in my own mind. Not to mention my supervisors. I think I probably gave them a headache just thinking about it. And they even joked about that I might get lost in the dark side, which is the programming, while neglecting the light side, the physics, which is what I'm supposed to do in the first place. But, I had a vision. I thought that building that lab, quote unquote, would actually help me to focus more on the physics in the long run. Automate the busy work, produce the data faster, let me analyze and publish results quicker. It's just that it requires initial investment of time and effort up front, but then it will hopefully automate and streamline my workflow in the years to come. And now, fast forward 2 months, we're almost at the end of October. I'm happy to report that I have a first solid working version of my package. I called it Spinglass Lab. So here is the structure of that package or library, whatever you want to call it. It's not a registered package yet, but eventually down the road, I do have plans to register it with the Julia community. So I'm trying to follow all the guidelines for the package development. But anyway, it has a lot more structure right now. The modules or submodules are ordered by the particular function that they're supposed to be doing. In any case, I can't really show you the contents at this point because nothing has been published, and I am not quite clear about the extent I can share at the moment. So I'll be looking into it, because I think that in itself, like the whole process of the package development, can be a valuable information for the viewers if I were to try and share how things were set up. But as I said, I'm not really sure what is appropriate to share at the moment and what not. Back to the whole storyline. So far, after some preliminary tests, the package and all the files, they all compile nicely, everything works well together, and it gives me the correct trends for the first test experiment, which I chose to do the zero field cooling of an assembly of magnetic nanoparticles of unknown geometry, if that tells you anything. But in any case, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic that this is going in the right direction physics-wise. And this week I have officially started validation phase, which is I need to run some classic textbook experiments to test the correctness of the physics output of this code, which is trying to simulate 2D and 3D ferromagnetic Eisen models and compare the results with the textbook's results or any other published papers that there's plenty of them out there. And so if my code can reproduce those results correctly, then I can have a good degree of trust in this for this to be useful to explore something new. And so the next couple of weeks will be all about validation and any new features that I have in mind to add to it. I have put on my development to-do list and will eventually implement them. Structuring my code as a package naturally led to changes in my workflow. It changed quite a bit how I debug things, how I test and document things. I've started adding proper error messages and warning messages, not just about the code side of things, but also the physics, just to prevent any accidental errors or funny behavior. Now the configuration management is now very clean. I use TOML files to define what experiment to run and how to run it, so what parameters to use. So those would live in the config folder, and so those are the files that I'm talking about. And there'll be more of those here, depending on the experiment, and maybe even depending on the Monte Carlo engine I'm planning to use. And along the way, I've also learned a number of more advanced Julia language concepts, something like using parametric types, modules, custom-defined types, and multiple dispatch. And, using these concepts that are actually part of the base Julia library now feels natural. Without them, making this package work would have been much more difficult. I do realize why these exist now. But I'll be honest, I did not figure out all of this on my own. When I started thinking about the package development, I discovered GitHub Copilot for myself, and the Pro version is actually free for educators and students. So the Copilot feature has been a huge help throughout this development phase. Well, it did not write the package for me, but it definitely helped me to guide me through the Julia package structure, the appropriate formatting, and figuring out all the dependencies, writing the boilerplate code for me and suggesting the patterns that I wouldn't have thought of myself. Sometimes it can get a little bit too carried away and too confident in its suggestions and solutions. So, of course, I have to check what it's giving me, and I have to appropriately define the physics problem at hand that I want to solve, because this is a gray area where it might get it right or it might not get it right. So it gets you maybe like 70 to 80% there, but you still need to guide it. You still need to give it the instructions of what exactly do you want to achieve with your code in terms of physics. But it definitely helped me to learn faster. It was more like an interactive learning process, learning when doing, and not, you first learn the theory and then you try to apply what you learn. It's like you have an idea in mind, you're trying to build it, and this thing is there to help you, guide you. I also figured out that some of the models available, even in the Pro subscription, are better than the others for scientific coding. And in particular, I really like Claude Sonnet 4.0 or 4.5. This is what I've been using primarily, and it's been great for that task. And then there is version control with Git. Once everything finally compiled and worked, and I was happy with my results, at some point I also needed to add one feature that was absolutely necessary for any future testing. And I was afraid at this point to break a good, solid, stable version. And this is when I realized that Git version control is there for a reason, and branching is there for a reason. And this is when it perfectly made sense to branch my main code, add the feature. Once everything is working as expected, I can merge it to the main. I took Git online courses before, but I never used them. I never used this knowledge up until this point. And I now came to a point where I started using Git not because it was the best practice in the developers world, but because I needed it to stay sane. It's funny to realize how every tool becomes obvious when the problem demands it. Going through this whole development phase in those last few weeks should really help me to write that Wayland Compositor that I'm still thinking to write. It gives me hope that I can pull it off, actually. I started learning C, albeit through a little bit of a different lens. I am trying to approach C from someone who already knows Julia well and try to compare the two, because a lot of structures in both languages are pretty much the same. Because Julia community, I think even they have a slogan that says something along the lines, it's as fast as C with the simplicity of the Python syntax. You can make it as easy as Python and not worry about types or anything else. But if you really need that control of memory and performance, those tools are still there, available in the language. And now that I started learning C and tried comparing it to Julia, I'm actually thinking that it might be a good idea to do so on screen, like making videos regularly to show you what are the main differences between two languages and how they're similar. So that's something I'm thinking of sharing on my channel in the weeks to come. I think that's enough of a rant for today. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.